Okay, we are now live.
Buddy.
Hey, what's going on, guys? To anybody watching this in the past or future, uh, my name is Caden, and joining me is my cousin named David.
What's up?
And this is a live stream to test out a potential new podcast that me and him want to try doing in the future, where we want to he wants so my cousin on his Instagram, he or on his socials, he does live he'll do album reactions, and he'll also do critiques of artists that he listens to. David, what are some
Oh
critiques
yeah.
that you've done?
And it's been a hell of a year. We've had the fall off. Probably it has the highest rating, 9.6 or 4. We've done a ton of artists this year. Who else dropped? Uh Help me out here. Who else dropped? Oh yeah, we had ASAP Rocky. We had ASAP Rocky after the longest time after his trial. We had Iceman. That was mediocre.
Yeah, I did hear
Um,
I did hear that a lot of people said it was mid. Like, it wasn't too great and it wasn't too bad. It was just kind of, I think a lot of people would have said it was overhyped.
yeah, but it was still just it was nice to have someone. It was nice to have Drake back, you know.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah, I could see that, considering he. I know some people still don't want to admit it, but yeah, he lost pretty bad against Kendrick.
Yeah, I feel like we always circle back to that beat, and we always just test the waters in
One.
that area. And yeah, I feel like we focused on that too much, and I really didn't get to enjoy it. And that's what a lot of people said to me.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that going forward, like, no matter what Drake's gonna like drop, like no matter what album he's gonna drop, no matter what songs he's gonna do, I think his beef with Kendrick is going to be like, it's going to be like an eternal scar on his career, like eternal stain. Like, it's not ever gonna go away.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like in our generation, that's something that we're gonna always hold against Drake, and I feel bad. And the worst part about it is he didn't even start it.
True. Well, I thought, didn't it? I thought I heard that, like, it had kind of been like a little bit. It had been definitely brewing for a few years. Like, it was definitely like it was boiling to the top, and then eventually it
Mhm.
just exploded, and
Yeah.
this all happened. Because I know a lot of
Oh
people. This
yeah.
is the Kendrick Drake beef has been referred to as the rap civil war, because a lot of artists took sides with uh I think it
Mhm.
was 21 Savage, and like Lil Yachty took Drake's side, I'm pretty sure, and then
Yeah.
I think Rocky. Uh, I'm not too
Yeah. A
familiar.
lot of a lot of artists, a lot of artists took Kendrick's side. And I feel like that kind of it was so nice to see it. Like, we were getting good music, but this also kind of ruined how we look at music. It feels like music is now a political standpoint. Like, I can't like you because you like Drake, or I can't like you because you like Kendrick. That's how it's become, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And I know I had been watching different YouTubers covering the beef with Matty Raps, like Luesta, like a lot of like well known commentary channels who cover a lot of what goes on in the music industry. Of course, I will never
Yeah.
listen to whatever DJ Academic says. That is the last person I'll ever go to for what goes on for news.
Mhm.
Uh, which is weird, because from what I had seen in like earlier videos of like Ack, when he was on the Everyday Struggle podcast with Joe Budden, he was actually critiquing Drake, and wasn't he was very unbiased when it came to his music. Like, he would still support Drake,
Yeah.
but he would still critique him and say that he could do better, or he needs to really lock in. but I guess I don't know how or what happened, but over the last few years, he's just become like just a really bad Drake glazer.
Mm, yeah. It's just a little too easy to hate on. You got to make sure, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's a little too easy to hate on you.
Well, I would
You got to make
definitely,
sure you're not that type.
whether you
Yeah.
like it or not, whenever you become like a big artist of any regards, like let's say like Taylor Swift of the pop industry,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
she has a huge target pain on her back. Even though no matter what she does, there will always be people who hate on her, no matter what she does. I know one of the biggest ones was when back in like 2022 or 2023 when people learned that her and Travis Kelsey were dating. That became like everybody hated on Travis Kelsey for that, even though he did absolutely nothing.
Yeah. It's just you're always gonna get hate at the top.
Yeah, it's just some people don't I would say some don't see it, but when you do get popular, like with live streamers and YouTubers, it's the same thing. You have a huge target on your back, and you like anything you say can get misconstrued and turned against you, no matter no matter how you intend it to come
Exactly.
out.
Yeah.
Because I know
A
like
shame.
and the big like and the big like one of like the biggest things going on right now is with Hassan, with the commentary community on Twitch. That's becoming a huge thing with him being banned from certain countries. He's been banned from the UK, and I know currently uh, he's been going after another YouTuber named More Pegasus.
Mhm.
But that's a whole nother can of worms, and I don't think we really want to talk about all that. We could talk about that for hours, and well, that's not really what we're here for. We're
Yeah.
here to talk about music.
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah, I got a question.
what's
So,
up?
2026, it's been a hell of a year, right? I mean, we've had three artists that I can count who have just been gone and nowhere seen, and they finally came out of the closet, right? You had J. Cole, we had Rocky, we had Isaiah Rashad, all taken 4 or more year gaps. Why do we think that these guys just finally thought it was the year? Because that's not normal for like 3 or more. I know that there's more. I just don't know why they took 2026 to be that year.
Well, my personal opinion, I would say they might have been testing the waters, maybe following the Kendrick Drake beef, because that definitely that left the rap community in like just it was completely they are completely like
A
splintered.
huge spiral. Yeah.
They're not a whole anymore. And I know one of the biggest people who suffered from that is DJ Khaled, but I think a lot of people saw this coming, considering he made his career off of pretty much piggybacking off of other rappers' success by just he.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I did
Hmm.
know that early in his early days, DJ Khaled was a DJ, and it actually wasn't too bad. But I think just over the years, it just seemed like he made the beats, just put his name on it, and was in the music videos, even though he really didn't contribute. Like people have, I would say they compared him to it's like doing project in school and having the one guy who doesn't do any of the work but puts his name on the project and they get an A, and he therefore just piggybacks off of what they did.
Oh yeah. Good point. Yeah.
And I know like his biggest, the way he made most of his money and views was definitely with Drake, and it was a lot of
Yeah.
features. He would do like tons of features with like Future, and you know, top
Maybe.
a lot of people, and with the fall in the beef and everything, that's pretty much left. Like Drake doesn't want to do any more like album. He doesn't want to do any more songs with Khaled because I believe I read that they kind of felt like because I don't think Khaled didn't really pick a side during the beef, didn't he?
No, he was kind of quiet. I
He
remember I heard a jab at Khaled in the Drake album.
yeah, I think that was definitely one of the things is that he wasn't very vocal about his stance on the things, and I guess Drake immediately took that as, oh, you're not on my side, so therefore I don't want to associate with you anymore.
Yeah.
So
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
yeah, but also Khaled hasn't really made things easy for himself either. He hasn't really made himself out to be, the most likable guy in the
Oh,
music industry. Considering,
yeah,
was it 2019 when his album lost to Igor by Tyler the Creator?
Tyler, yeah, Tyler, yeah. We were all rooting for Tyler. Let's be honest. That was generational for Tyler,
Yeah,
and I'm so happy.
Igor is
Yeah,
definitely one of my favorite albums of Tyler's. I really enjoyed Igor.
exactly. Yes,
Although it did take me,
Callum
I
Coleman.
would say it did take me a few years to really discover Tyler. I had heard like a little bit about him. I remember hearing about him when he beefed a little bit with Eminem when Eminem was back on the rise when he had started making music again. Uh, and
Yeah,
I think it was on Kamikaze, and one of the like he one song was for Tyler, for a diss track on Tyler, and that caused and he called him the F slur, and that was a huge uproar that caused a lot of backlash because this wasn't like the
yeah,
2000s and the 90s anymore. You couldn't really get away with saying that kind of word anymore. So I think
yeah.
that was what one of the very first one of the very like one of like the first time I think in like Eminem's career he's like ever apologized for a song that he's made.
Well, you got to understand, Tyler. Tyler was hella rebellious,
Yeah,
like putting a fucking upside down cross on Abraham Lincoln.
yeah. I would say what their Odd Future days. Those guys were they were all over the place.
Yeah,
But
and then I mean, we kind of needed that. We needed the bad side of. We needed a bad guy, and I feel like that's what Tyler wanted to do.
well, and
And I like
also,
where he is.
oh my bad. I'm sorry. I would say though is that with music, shock value does do a lot for you.
Mhm.
So when you do like big statements like that or big so I would like to clarify for anybody watching this that I'm not that knowledgeable. I'm not that, you know, wise about the rap industry. I would say that's more my cousin's side. I I would feel I'm more knowledgeable when it comes to like the heavy metal or like the rock side. I like to listen to that. So I was gonna say that for like shock value, I'd say something like an old like thrash metal band, Slayer. They retired some few years back. They did a lot of like satanic imagery
Yeah,
for their albums and all that. I believe their latest album it showed like it was a picture of Jesus with black eyes and bleeding black blood from his eyelids and like crucified angels. Of course, though, when it culminates to it, this is all just shock value. A lot of times, people in music
yeah,
when they say certain stuff, they don't even mean half what they say.
yeah. It gets people to notice like what you're doing, and then it gets talk ready, right? Like this person did this,
It
and then
generates
oh
it generates
yeah,
buzz, really.
yeah, I gotta check that out. I gotta check that out. Yeah,
Uh, so,
that's what that was. Lil Nas X's strategy too.
oh yeah, I do remember all that. Yeah, his like his industry baby, his song. That caused quite a bit of reaction to
Either
people.
that, either that, or he just he's gay
Or
or
he had a
no, no,
didn't
no
he
hate.
do like some kind of red carpet or some kind of event where he walked out with like breast implants?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know if it was either a red carpet event. I think it was a picture that he had posted on like his like Instagram that showed him with breast implants or fake boobs. I'm not too sure. It happened like over like 4 or 5 years ago that was posted. That was like in the height of his career with Old Town Road
Yeah, he did.
and then
Uh,
like Panini.
oh no, no, no. He had a baby. He had a baby. That's what it
Oh
was.
right, yes, that's what
He's
it was.
pregnant.
Yeah, I remember that.
Breast
That was
implants. Come on, bro.
Yeah, because I
What are
remember
you talking?
like 15-year-old or 16-year-old me was so like just shocked when I saw that. And was just my immediate reaction was just
Yeah.
what is that?
What? What? That's possible.
Yeah,
No, I think that was just his rollout.
yeah. Lil Nas he had a crazy run. He like after Old Town Road, he was like everywhere for a time. But then I think after Industry Baby, you didn't really hear much from him after that.
Yeah. He dropped He dropped one album. I forgot what it was, but it was just it was, hold on, let me check this out. His latest album was Montero, but I think he dropped yes, it was an EP. It was called Days Before a Dream Boy, and it was just kind of during that, Barbie phase, whenever Barbie came out. Remember that?
Oh
I think it
yeah,
was something to do with that. And then, yeah, that was,
that makes sense.
particular.
Yeah, I would say that makes sense for Lil Nas to be on a Barbie song or Barbie movie.
Yeah, and you see that a lot when these huge movies come out. Like, again, Drake did it. Michael came out, and then you see him on his cover with a Michael Jackson thing. Which a lot of people don't understand why he had Michael's glove on his album cover, and I think he did get a few hates from that.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of when he used the Tupac AI voiceover on his song or his diss track towards Kendrick, and
Oh
that
my
like
gosh,
that got him he got a huge amount of trouble for
there
that.
was no point in that. I was, what are you doing? He even used Snoop Dogg, but he did
Yeah,
have a reason. He did have a reason for the Michael thing. See, Drake was tied for, I think it was number one songs. It was number one songs, and I feel like he could have not an album cover. It could have been used as a music video, just kind of flashed in a music video,
yeah, I could see that.
something.
I
'Cause,
I don't know if it still is the case, but isn't Michael still? I think isn't Michael like he's I don't know if he's the number one listened to artist on Spotify right now, but I know he's definitely up there. Let's see. Uh,
um,
Currently he has
I think it's the
100.
weekend.
He's 112. He's number 4 right now. Okay. Well, that's still really good considering that uh the biopic had boosted so much and it brought so much attention back to his music.
Yeah,
And
I loved the movie. Yeah,
I have not seen it yet, but I've heard really good things about it.
yeah, I've
And
seen it five,
I've
six
heard
times.
I've heard good things and bad things about it. I've heard, Janet was not really a social. Janet and Paris Jackson weren't really involved in the movie at all. Uh,
Yeah, they
yeah,
declined a role in that movie.
which is understandable, completely understandable, especially with Janet, how close she was to Michael. Those two were like the closest out of the family growing up, and I think if I was in her shoes, I would say, yeah, there really would be no movie would be able to really you know proper properly like portray my brother, like to get everything correct.
Hmm.
And of course,
Yeah.
when it comes to making like a biopic or a movie about like a famous person, sometimes stuff does get changed to make the movie more interesting. I know a big thing was like, do you remember the Straight Outta Compton movie about NWA back in 2015?
Yeah. Yeah.
I do remember that the scene in where Eazy-E was beaten up or was jumped by Suge Knight. I remember I'd seen interviews with uh, I don't remember his name. Oh, I cannot remember the guy's name, but he was oh, was it BNG Knockout? I don't remember his name. I don't believe
Uh,
I
I don't know.
I feel really dumb now that I can't remember his name because he was on like one of like Easy songs, or it was his diss track against Dre and Snoop. It was like real N words. And
Okay.
I don't remember his name. I think it was something Knockout, and I feel really bad that I'm blanking on his name. But he had done an interview, and I think even Keefe D, the guy who was convicted for Tupac's assassination, they had both said that that would have never happened. That Suge Knight would have never laid his hands on Easy, because if he did, he would have had all of the Compton Crips rain down on him for it.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes I would say yes when it comes to movies like that. When it is when they're trying to talk about a famous person, they definitely change some of the scenes to make it more interesting because sometimes they got to make the movie. You want they got to keep you like on the edge of your seats and want to watch more. But
Hmm.
back to the biopic, I do remember that I did hear that they stopped right at the end of his bad tour, or like right when his bad tour was occurring. They did not
Yeah.
talk about the like they did not cover the rest of it because that was when the sexual allegations came out against uh uh Michael, for him being a PDF file.
Well, yeah. So I mean, they stopped the movie because, well, I liked what they did. I mean, when I saw it, I liked where they stopped, even though I was a little shocked, like, where the hell is the rest of the story? But there's just too much of Michael's life to fit in only one movie, so they're making three. They're working on a two right now.
And that's just the sad thing because from it's just the whole like that whole allegations about Michael is such a morally gray area because you had heard that people had said that Michael did nothing to them, and then you had reports that Michael did do something, and then you found out that, and then like later on when you look in like the case files, that the people on the stand who had supported Michael had some of them had lied about what they said, and the people who were accusing Michael had also lied, and then you hear reports that Michael's security guard had a claim that he was being like overly like weird with Macaulay Culkin and that he was like almost like obsessed with him, and
Mhm.
you have the people who support him that saying, well, Michael didn't really have a childhood growing up because their father made him and his brothers perform every day, and they could not hang out with friends because music was pretty much their life, that they could not have an outside life outside of music. So that's why they said he was being so uh he was surrounding himself with children and inviting them to his Neverland ranch. To me, I would just say it's just a morally gray area, and I don't think we'll ever find out the truth since, well, Michael's been dead for 17 years now.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to these things, it's very rare you're gonna get the truth, and there's always, always, always gonna be two sides of the story, and it's not really ever gonna make sense.
Yeah,
So
it's
we can
especially.
all,
I would just say it's really hard to know who's right and who's wrong, considering both people on both sides. Some of them had lied, and you know I mean, and then of course people do support Michael and say that these were not right, these were untrue, and then they use Macaulay Culkin as a good example because he said Michael never did anything to him. But then some people say, well, just because it didn't happen to him doesn't mean it didn't happen at all, that it could have happened to other people who weren't as famous as Macaulay was.
Mhm.
But who knows? Well, I don't know if we'll ever know. We probably won't find out for another few years until maybe some of
Yeah,
the case files are released, or who knows.
it's yeah.
It's just a difficult area to talk about, and that's why a lot of people I think probably don't take. That's why a lot of people who talk about it don't pick a side. They just state the facts and just say, just tell everyone, everyone's side of the story, and you know,
Yeah,
because like
you see
me
the
personally, I really did enjoy Michael's music. I do enjoy his music.
yeah, how could you not? Right.
I mean, and like I know I've heard reports that some people have tried to compare. I know we talked about Drake having Michael's glove in his album cover. I would say, and people have said that Drake is our generation's Michael Jackson, and I know a lot of people's. To me personally, I would also say that is absolutely not true, and there will never be another Michael for a long time.
Yeah.
Michael was
Mi
something, man.
Michael was greatest artist of all time.
I know, because
I think we can all say that.
have you seen him like do his like the dance or like their concert or their little like show that they did with Cher back in like the 70s?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, dude, I don't know. He was what, 16 at that time and moving like that. I don't know how you do that.
Just a ton of work. He just
I mean,
he
yeah.
already had that drive in him that his father just mashed into his brain. And like that's messed up, but it
Yeah,
it
and
really
that's
paid off. Like it really paid off.
it's the wild it's such a weird area too to talk about that, like the way Joe treated them. because there are
Mhm.
people who support it, saying that they needed to be tough for that world at the time because at the time that world was, not, it wasn't exactly fair to people of their ethnicity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think, and a lot of people also argue that you could still be stern with them, but you also could have allowed them to at least have to relax or to just settle down for a little bit, not have to be all on music and spend 8 hours or more focusing on routine, and sitting there. Michael and other people had said that Joe would sit there with a belt watching them, so if they messed up, he would immediately strike them if they messed up.
Yeah. Damn. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, and then I would say that's also that generation of like Joe. I would say a lot of them are probably the same people you see online that talk about our generation being soft and we're coddled, which
Mhm.
I wouldn't argue, I wouldn't disagree entirely, but I would say the world is not the way it used to be.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like it's you don't have to be, and I know it's such a thing, or a huge like discussion online is like men's mental health nowadays. Where like a lot of people don't really seem to care. Some do care, and it's just it always. I would say on like you see a lot of it on Instagram, like a lot of like accounts that talk about men's mental health, and
Mhm.
the comment sections, it's two different sides. You see some people saying we don't really care, about men, or some say, we do care. We don't want to see, more men die.
Exactly, yeah.
And I kind of hate that online you can't even say that word anymore. You can't even say that word without getting like getting like a strike on your channel or something, or like they're telling you have to mute that, or like that's a word you cannot use or else it'll get demonetized, which I really think is really stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just and I've met a few people, um, I've met tons of people who just say, "Oh yeah, I'm a man hater," and I really can't. I hear you, right? I hear you, but I don't really feel like I can get a good, really good reason why you just hate men. They're so disgusting, and one of the main reasons I hear men are hated so much by women is just because of how apparently how we sexualize women, how much we do it. And I'm just thinking, do they really think that it's all of us?
yeah, that's just always the biggest problem because I do remember back in I would say around 2020 or 2021 on TikTok there was the whole kill, or it was called their whole like the movement was called Kill All Men. And I was 16 at the time, so I was like, why are you saying that? And then I had seen more videos about it, and some of them had said, when we say kill all men, it doesn't mean kill all men. It means the rapists or the guys who treat women like trash, who cheat on them, who abuse them. And I thought, okay. But then they say, and then this was always the one thing that struck a nerve with me is when they said, if you're offended by what we said, you're part of the problem. Which
Yes.
that
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense because when you because I was always taught it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Mhm.
But when you talk about like when someone go online and talk about men in like a really bad light and talk about like how they have like a checklist that a man has to fill in order for them to even want to be like to date him or to even talk to him. And when you say stuff like that online, people are definitely going to misconstrue it, and then you're going to have to pretty like, and I would say you need to really think about what you're going to say online, especially when you say kill all men. You really shouldn't be surprised when you get a lot of hate from men who don't know what you mean, because half the time, because it's very vague when you say stuff like that. And I under
And then go ahead.
no, what were you going to say?
I was just gonna say it comes to a point, it gets so bad where whenever men turn around, do the same thing, we're in the wrong, right? And nobody's saying that, you know, the people who are saying kill all men are wrong. And I just that's so stupid.
Yeah, it's just with today's society, there's just so much double standards. because online you see women, and when I'm talking about this stuff, I do not hate women. I am not a misogynist. I have sisters who so I've grown up with women, so I am not a misogynist. I don't hate them, but
Yeah.
it definitely just it doesn't it just isn't smart when you go online and say these things. Like, a man has to be at least 6 feet tall. He has to look a certain way. He can't weigh a certain amount. And of course, the biggest thing is the man's genitals has to be a certain length. Or the biggest
Mm.
one that everyone says, he has to make a certain income a year for me to even entertain the thought of dating him.
So stupid.
And then yes, when men do the same thing and talk about how women cannot weigh a certain much or cannot be overweight or obese in order for them to want to talk to her, they get upset.
Mm.
And then of course the biggest argument a lot of guys make, okay, how are you going to make fun of us for something that we cannot control, but we make fun of something that you can control, and yet you get offended by what we said. It's
Well,
un,
yeah.
I would just say that in today's society, there's a lot of double standards regarding men and women. It goes both ways. There's, it's not just women who do it. Men do it a lot too.
Yeah. We have feelings too, guys.
It just kind of sucks, especially with the way the internet is. Like, I've seen like clips of people going on Twitter and saying, like, or on X, saying, just making like a basic, they're basing their opinions, which everyone's entitled to. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions. But apparently on Twitter, that's not the case, because if you say one thing, they will immediately attack you and say that you're a racist, you're transphobic, you are a misogynist, and and I just find it funny when people online complain about how we're like a lot of, I've seen lately people talk about that the America's becoming a fascist government, that we aren't allowed to say what we want online. Freedom of speech is not a thing anymore. Like, we're not allowed to have free speech. But I don't.
Mhm.
What do you expect when you go online and say some of these things? Like, I've seen. Like, have you heard of what's going on with like the H3 podcast and like Hassan?
No.
So on Twitch, there is the commentary community, like Hassan, or he's part of the. I don't really know this what genre it's called. I guess he's one of the political streamers. He's on the political side of Twitch. So Ethan Klein, who is H3, he runs a podcast with his wife. I think Ilya. I'm not too sure if that's her name. I might be mispronouncing that incorrectly. So him and her they've been married for some time, and they have two sons, and I think they just welcomed another child. I'm not sure what gender the child is, but recently Ethan just had CPS called on him
Shit.
that he was apparently molesting his own children. And so recently he's been filing lawsuits against a lot of YouTube streamers that are associated with Hassan. And for my personal opinion, I do not like Hassan. I do not like the way he runs his channel, and I definitely do not like his community, because I would say they're enablers, and they are people who have it somehow wired in their brains that Hassan can do no wrong. So
Mm.
he is online saying how communism is better than capitalism, that he's a socialist, that capitalism is evil and it is ruining the country. Which, if that is the, if I guess that I've heard people say it is ruining the country. Some people say it's not. I'm not too knowledgeable when it comes to the I'm not too knowledgeable when it comes to that the economist side of the country. I'm not that knowledgeable when it comes to that. Uh,
Okay.
but what's funny is Hassan claims to be a socialist, which means everybody should be equal, everyone should get paid the same, but yet he lives in $1 million mansion in LA, and he wears designer clothes. He wears Gucci. He wears like almost $2,000 glasses, and
Hi, bro.
he's posted himself wearing a shirt that literally said, "We need to it was tax the rich," or something along those lines, which is funny considering he's part of the rich now, and he actively uh, he profits off of a system that he actively like defames and is so vocally against. And then when he is pressured about it, or when he's pressed about it, and like in when he's accused of being a hypocrite, he says, "I rather be a wealthy social." Or his excuse was, "I rather just because I'm a socialist doesn't mean I have to live in poverty," and that he'd rather be a wealthy socialist than a poor one. But
He's a crowd pleaser.
he's no, I wouldn't say he's a crowd pleaser. I would just say that he spent so much time garnering an audience that has let him say whatever he thinks and not being punished for it, because Twitch is very bad about their censorship when it comes to stuff like that. We all know Twitch is they are garnered towards whoever makes them the most money. They will let them get away with anything, and especially if you're a female streamer, they will let you get away with a lot of stuff. Uh, a big one was back in like the late 2010s was Alinity, who was a female streamer. She was horrible towards her cat. She had given her cat vodka. She had like thrown her cat across the room, and
Right.
just I mean, she did so much stuff and like she did not get banned for it, or even get a strike on her channel for it, or she didn't get anything until she begged for a ban, and they banned her for like a day, and then they removed the ban.
But
Yeah, it's just society is just um, it's just social media was honestly it's done it has not really done the internet much good. It has not done us much good.
no, not at all. And I feel like it's getting worse.
And this is
Like,
oh sorry, go ahead.
I feel like we have to talk about this. Um, Oliver Tree. You heard what
Yeah,
happened to him.
yeah, I had seen that earlier today, and I was very shocked to hear that.
Mhm. I was at the movies and I saw that and it's just damn. And it took maybe 2 minutes for somebody to go online and write some BS. Oh, using one of his songs, life goes on and on and on, but not for him. It's just God, it's so stupid how we make fun of death. And I'm just like, where in the internet, where when did we think that was okay?
It's like Mike Tyson said, people became so comfortable saying stupid stuff online and not getting punched in the face for saying it.
Smartest thing he said.
It's just I mean, like, I can understand like making like a comedy of someone's death, but not a day after they're dead. Like, I would say,
Yeah.
like, for me if I was to say see something like that, I would say about a week or two after their death, because it's settled in and people have gotten used to it. Not like the next day or a couple days after he died.
Yeah. And make sure it's okay with the family too. Like you gotta check on them first.
Yeah,
And just don't go straight to clowning a dead person
it's
because
just it's
people, yeah,
yeah, it's just bad. I do remember
'cause that's someone's son. That's someone's brother.